All right, well, the 11 a.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center is out, and the latest update is potential tropical cyclone 9 has now become tropical depression 9. Now, as of the 11 a.m. update as well, we also continue to have Hurricane Umberto out in the Atlantic as well, continuing to maintain Category 4 strength and still expected to strengthen into a Category 5 storm. Still not something that's going to directly impact the United States, but will have an impact on the steering of Tropical Depression 9. So let's play both of these cones out and talk a little bit more about the changes and what we're expecting to see with these systems. Now, right now, there is a really high certainty in what's going to happen with Tropical Depression 9 as we go throughout the weekend. As we enter the upcoming work week, as you've probably heard through so many updates, still a lot of uncertainty remains. But there has been a change in the cone with the latest model trends in that this system looks like it may take a turn back out towards the east into the Atlantic. So this is kind of the latest change with the shape of the cone. We kind of before had just a big circle that encapsulated part of South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. Now this kind of takes a turn out towards the east. Again, a lot is still subject to change. This is just the latest change that we have with the 11 a.m. advisory. So if we kind of take a closer look at this, the uncertainty lies in when this will stall, how long it's going to sit in the same spot, and again, if it will continue to push further out towards the east, or if it could kind of try to make an inward push towards South Carolina, potentially towards North Carolina as well. So this is where things stand right now. One thing that has continued with this 11 a.m. update is that we do expect this to become a tropical storm, likely sometime tomorrow, and become a Category 1 hurricane as we head into the upcoming week. And let's talk a little bit more about the certainties with this system. Now, right now, there are current watches and warnings out there. The Bahamas are all in a tropical storm warning. Certainty exists that they will see tropical storm force winds as we go throughout the rest of the day today. So tropical storm warning is in place for them. But the newest update is that a tropical storm watch is now in effect for parts of the eastern coast of the Florida Peninsula. This really just exists because the National Hurricane Center says there could potentially be some tropical storm force winds in that area as this system moves further towards the north and northwest. You'll notice they weren't outlined in the cone, so we'll say this is a watch for now, see if they could potentially have some gusty or tropical storm force winds from this system, but as of right now, it's a watch as opposed to a warning, and elsewhere, we don't currently have any tropical storm watches or warnings. So this is kind of where the spaghetti models stand as of the latest update. Remember, pretty certain, but by the time we get past the Bahamas, that is where a lot of this uncertainty starts. So we're not totally sure if this system is going to try to push further inland, making landfall somewhere along South Carolina or potentially the Georgia coast, or if this is going to take a big push out towards the east. Now, the mean of all of these spaghetti models obviously takes a big turn out towards the east, and I believe a lot of the ensemble's thinking has gone with that as well, which is why the National Hurricane Center has likely adjusted that cone out towards the east. Now, really, regardless of whether this thing turns towards the east or whether it tries to push a little further inland, one major concern is going to be the thing we're talking about with this system, and that is the potential for some flooding and some heavy rain. So we'll play this out on the graph model here, and I want to talk a little bit about the slow motion and the potential stalling of this storm. So by the time we get to Monday morning, look how little this system moves from Monday into about Tuesday morning. It hardly moves at all. And the thinking here is that this system will try to stall out somewhere outside the east coast of the United States here as we go Monday through about Wednesday. So as this system stalls, the thing it's going to do is really accumulate the rainfall totals along the coastal Carolinas and along the Georgia coast. This kind of is echoed with the long range models as well. You're taking a look at the GFS and the Euro right now, pushing the system up and then having it kind of sit in the same spot as we go Monday, Tuesday, likely throughout Wednesday as well. Now, again, this is kind of the thinking with the latest models that this system is going to turn back out towards the Atlantic and push its way further east through the rest of the work week. But before it does that, we do have the chance to tack on some pretty impressive rainfall totals in the early work week, mainly along the coast. So we're talking mainly about North Carolina, South Carolina, and the Georgia coast. Here in central Georgia, really not talking about rainfall totals much at all. In fact, on the highest amounts, I think we would be talking about ½ an inch at most. What's going to happen here is we are on the western side of this storm. So with the counterclockwise motion of the system, we're actually going to drag in some slightly cooler and slightly drier air coming in from the northeast. So here in our area, we don't really have much to expect in terms of impacts. We're likely going to draw in a pretty strong breeze from the northeast, but we're not necessarily talking about anything tropical storm force or hurricane force. And in fact, I've written here, this may actually filter in some cooler and some drier air into our area. So just kind of echo this to show you the circulation that I'm talking about here. Once we get on the counterclockwise flow from that system, all of our flow will be coming in from the northeast, and that may increase our breeze through the week. And we could be talking about potentially some drier and cooler air, but that is dependent on how far towards the east or west this system ends up tracking. So as always, make sure to stay up to date with our 13 WMAZ weather team for the latest updates and changes with Tropical Depression 9.